Hey everybody, welcome to this week's episode of Midwest Mythos. And guys, I am reignited and ready to go. I just spent the weekend at SpiracyCon in Cave City, Kentucky, and guys, it was a blast. I met so many great people. I had a great time hanging out with my brother Doc and brother Steven from the Prometheus Lens podcast and the Biblical Hitman. Guys, we're going to have a whole recap, get together episode about that here coming real soon. We're all going to get together and talk about the great time we had. I do want to say thank you to Mr. John Pounders for putting on that event. It was awesome. It was hard to believe it was your guys' first one. That was one of the most well put together events I have ever seen, ever been at. Everything was smooth. So many great people, so many great conversations. The speaker lineup was amazing. Everything was just, it was almost a perfect event, I would say. And that's really hard nowadays. So thank you guys for all that. And guys, I hope you're ready. Midwest Mythos, guys, we're taking it to the next level now. I got some big things coming your guys' way. You're going to start seeing me quite a bit more. And just so, in case y'all are scared and wondering, yeah, I ain't wearing a hat today. I'm doing something with my hair right now. Ain't putting nothing in it. Ain't wearing no hat. It's starting to die and fall out. So I'm trying to keep that from happening so I can still look beautiful every single week, guys. But with that being said, tonight we got a good one lined up for y'all. Tonight I have Sam from Web of Mysteries, new up and coming podcaster that you're gonna hear everywhere, guys. Don't sleep on it. It's gonna be one of the greats one day. So, how you doing this evening?
I'm doing great, buddy, and thank you. That got me motivated. Like that got me motivated. But yeah. I actually do want to know how to do your hair, like where you can not neutralize, but give it the nutrients. Um, when you boil, like when you're making rice, save that first. They use that first cup of water that you wash from your rice. Use that for your hair. It'll help.
All
But
right. I have to
do you
try.
know the I know before we started recording, we were talking about how the spacecraft and everything. Do you want to start there or?
Yeah, we'll get into that in 1 second. I want to give you the opportunity right now to tell everybody a little bit about yourself, where they can find all your stuff, and what made you want to start podcasting.
So what made me want to start podcasting is all right. So my name's Sam. I'm also known as a spirit animal. You can find me at Webb of Mysteries. I'm on Spotify. You can find me on Instagram. Or you can find me pretty much every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at with the Code of Conspiracy on Tuesday Night Live. It was actually Jacob Jonathan that got me wanted to do podcasting. Specifically the murder of Kendrick Johnson. That happened in Valdosta, so about an hour and a half away from where I live. That that screams nothing but cover up. I'm not doing an episode on that yet because I want to have all the credit and everything. I want to have it really structured out. But I highly recommend people look into it because it is messed up. Um, but I just I've been real big into conspiracies, and even to the point I had my fellow Marines looking in conspiracies while I was in the Marine Corps. I I just I like looking at this stuff, and I think we should bring it to the light. Is pretty much my main goal. But I
That's awesome. That
yeah, sorry, my phone's messing up. Lo siento, dog.
Oh, you're all yeah, you're all good.
Alright, so well, um, where we're gonna start is Aurora, Texas. It was April 17th, 1897. This was 50 years before Roswell. Um, During in Aurora, Texas, there was a crash. It resulted in one fatality. The pilot. The pilot was described as being not from this world. They don't really get into like the way he's described. They kind of call him a Martian, but they say he's about the size of a child, like a prepubescent child. You know what I mean?
Uh huh.
Um.
Yeah,
So
one of the little ones.
yes, sir. They actually this is where they started describing the grays and all. But but yeah. So they took the pilot's body, they gave him a Christian burial, and they buried him in an unmarked grave. The local paper reported that the pilot was a Martian, as I said, and but the one who like an official from the Army Signal Corps came down there and is the one that identified the body and said that it's not of this world. It was by Arthur. It was by the officer was T.J. Teens from Fort Worth that the alien was given it was given the Christian burial after the crash, and it happened as a result of the ship crashing into a judge's windmill to the point, and those people they said, well, there's no windmill now. No, you can see the foundation where the windmill is, but when the ship came in, it completely destroyed the windmill. Um, so yeah, and when they go and find like this debris and everything, well, the judge he takes it and he just throws it in his well and seals up the well. Well, after so many years, they threw the well into they threw the debris into the well, and it caused the well to become radioactive, and it wasn't until 1935. So that's 38 years later. A man named Raleigh Oates, he cleaned the debris out of the well and he started to drink from it. And when he did, you can literally go look up pictures and you can see his knuckles how they are just deformed. It's really crazy. And it gave him severe arthritis in his hands. And plus, there was two eyewitnesses. A Mary Evans, who was 15 at the time, who said that her parents went and claimed to see the body of the alien, and the MUFON investigated the marker and was given and was going to exhume the site after they hit it with the metal detector and found like traces of things. They were gonna exhume the body. Well, that night a van came up, which people believe it was a man in black. But they said that like the county like gravesman, gravekeeper, whatever you call him, think of like a crypt keeper looking motherfucker. Sorry for my language. Um, he said that he's the van pulled up. Guys in tuxedos saw it. He said he didn't go up. He thought they were just officials. He was just doing his job. They snatched out. They pretty much took out the body. They put a metal tube in there and they completely done away with the body, even though that they had ground penetrating images showing that there was something in that grave. Now there's nothing in the grave, and th- this it happened in the initial crash happened in 1897. I believe the first flight of Kitty Hawk was like in 1907 because it was only like 10 years later did we start having fighter pilots in World War One. And the thing that supposedly crashed at Aurora, Texas was shaped like a cigar looking thing. And it's just funny how
Oh,
a lot of like most time when people think of UFOs back then they think of like a flying saucer, but this one looks more. The eyewitnesses said it looked more like a cigar shape, which I find pretty kind of cool in a way. But yeah, that was Aurora,
yeah,
Texas, and
them cigar shaped ones. Those ones are pretty interesting. They're becoming a lot more popular. You don't hear nowadays. You don't hear too many more stories of the flying saucers. A lot of them are the cigar, tic tac shape, whatever one people prefer, or they're the triangles. I almost wonder if the triangles, I mean not the triangles, if the flying saucers have kind of just like that's the whole. a species or something that or type of alien that ain't around coming around too much more anymore. Because I mean, like I said, you don't. When was the last time you heard about a flying saucer?
Well, I've had an experience with one, but it wasn't. It didn't look like a saucer. I've actually had
Oh,
two weird experiences. One, me, my best friend Mikey, and his dad. His dad was a retired police officer. We were headed up to what is it called? Mikey was going to college at Georgia Southern. We were going up there, and we were helping. We were gonna go drop it off. I had tagged along. While we were going, there we were driving down this road, and we see like two military jets fly by, like overhead. And in it, it was like it looked like they were chasing something, but there was this long, like weird cigar shaped thing. Big Mike was like, "Is that a drone?" I'm like, "No, that's not a drone. That has no wings and everything, but it's like here it is, and it was here. Then 1 second it shot over here, and then we followed it, and we finally pulled over into a church and everything. Looked up, and at that point it went from here, then it just like disappeared, and that was weird. And we were like, huh. Only it would make sense it disappeared the moment we stepped foot on hallowed ground. But that was a joke that we
it,
made and everything. So
that's awesome. You know, I seen a cigar shape too flying over. Well, I wouldn't say it was flying; it was hovering over Lake Michigan, and it's so wild. But that is. I know you said it was a joke as a joke, but as soon as you stepped on hollow ground, it disappeared. Like, what do you think about the connection that people have been making nowadays about possibly it being not so much Space Brothers, but something quite
demonic
unholy?
entities.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
I believe aliens exist. I believe demons exist. I am a Christian. I've had a shadow person follow me most of my life, but like, uh, I don't think God would make one without the other. I think that God would make one, but I think he would make the aliens and everything because hey, he can. The cosmos is literally his workshop. He can do whatever. But I think that one is not the other. I think the possibility of both of them is a lot more feasible than anything else. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. Yeah. It's definitely a possibility. I mean, I don't. I I've learned, especially as I've grown in my faith, we can't put God in a box. That's something we can't do. And I'm not going to sit here and say everything that I know of all God's creation and all God's plans, because only God knows what God has done, all that He has done. But that's cool. I didn't know we were going to be getting any experiences out of you this evening. Yep. But man, the Aurora, Texas. That that one does sound. I think I've heard that one before, but I didn't realize how far back it actually went. That it was in the 1800s. For some reason, whenever I thought of it, I just pictured it, 1920s, 1930s. Because for some reason, whenever I hear windmills and stuff and farms, I just think of the Dust Bowl times, them 1930s Little House on the Prairie type.
Like the Great
the
Depression. I will
yeah, that
say,
that time period.
my phone's like at 15. I don't My phone hasn't been wanting to charge, but it's like really hot, so it doesn't want to charge. But I cut the thing. I'm gonna try to let it cool down a bit. But if I lose you, I'll try to get back in as quick as possible.
All right,
My
sounds
bad.
good.
When we started, I was like at
You're all
60.
right. Oh yeah, it happens. Hey, weird stuff happens with technology too. I mean, I know it's a phone battery, so I ain't trying to say it's nothing, but 60 to 15 in 20 minutes. That's pretty quick.
Yeah, the phone's like 7 years old.
Oh, all right. There's that. But hey, I've been there with that. I had the same phone for almost 10 years for a while. The iPhone 6, I had that thing until it would not let me replace stuff in it no more.
Well, I bought this phone like in the ass end of like 2019, so 6 years. So, but
Yeah,
um, I was gonna ask you about your beliefs of like aliens. Where do you think that they're extraterrestrial or extra dimensional or what?
so for most of my life, so aliens are one of the big things I've been researching since I was a little kid. I mean, I was terrified of them as a kid, but once I got, like junior high and stuff like that, ancient aliens and stuff started coming out. I was thinking for a while that they were from outer space, different planets and stuff like that. But, as time's going on and I've talked to a lot of people, not even just on the show, actually more of them off the show than anything. I'm leaning a lot more towards they're interdimensional beings. Not saying that there can't be stuff out in space, because obviously we know there's life out in space, even just coming from single cell organisms and stuff that picked up off meteorites and stuff like that. But as far as like what we're in contact right now, I think a lot of it does tie in with uh, interdimensional beings, and that they are uh, from here.
Yeah.
But that's just going off a lot of the stuff I've been hearing, and my experiences with them. I don't have anything definitive besides just seeing UFOs and stuff like that. I never seen a gray, a Nordic, anything like that. I never been abducted as far as I know. So I can't definitively say with 100%. I'm just going off, speculation. So I lean towards more interdimensional, but if a UFO came down and it wasn't, Project Bluebeam or something like that, where it's going to be obvious to people like us,
For those who don't
it's
know, can you explain what Bluebeam is? Because I am not gonna lie, I have no idea what that is.
all right. So Project Bluebeam, I can't give you the exact date. I know it's in like the 60s or 70s. They the government started coming up with this idea of using holograms, projectors, to make it seem like there is going to be a mass alien invasion, whether that be to cause mass hysteria, unite the world against a common enemy, something like that. And this is the real quick version, but a lot of people also believe that they will use it to usher in Christ as a false deception. Get people, so they'll make this alien invade, make it look like we're being invaded by aliens. They're gonna walk out. They're gonna be like, "Take us to your leader." They're gonna take them to whoever's in charge of the world government at that time, and they will bring out something, and it will claim itself as Christ. The great, it's essentially it's man's way of trying to create the great deception, and it could be, it's all speculation and stuff at the moment, but
Yes, sir.
that's their goal with it, is just to try to deceive people with holograms. And there's a lot more people can look at. I know I've talked about it in some of my older episodes, gone into it a little bit more, but there's a lot better. It's a fun one that people should dive into, and a lot of people should be aware of, because it is a very real possibility that they will attempt something like this. I mean, if you just look at, I think it was like 2 years ago when they dropped Diablo 4, that video game, at I believe it was like San Diego Comic-Con. They had a bunch of drones in the sky projecting a hologram that showed Lilith ripping open a veil in the sky and crawling out and
Yeah,
stuff,
that's
like,
not satanic at
so
all.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, it is. I ain't gonna say it's not, but she was the main villain of the
Cause
video game and stuff, and it is a demon slaying game like that. So they're gonna use
I'm
the demon as their mascot. Not that I'm trying to condone it or anything, but that they did do that, and like some people were freaking out about it.
Well, Lilith in Jewish folklore, she become later becomes a demon, but she's like the mother of the demons. She was according to folklore, she was Adam's first wife. She didn't want to be when it came to the act of sex. She didn't want to submit to Adam. She didn't want to be on the bottom. She actually wanted to be on top. She wanted to She wanted to be on top. Didn't want to be subservient. Um, that and then, she ended up getting cast out of heaven or whatever, and then she became the wife of Samael, which later becomes, Lucifer, the son of the morning, the morning star. Funny enough, my name is Samuel, and, it's Samuel, but, Samael, you spell it backward well, how my name is, you spell it backwards, you have Alamus, which is a deity of lust. I find that fascinating, but, Samael is also uh talked about as being the he wasn't he was the poison of God. Like he was supposed to be his right hand man. He would go do the dirty work. Like if you wanted like Sodom and Gomorrah, he probably sent like Samael at that. But this is if you go off of like how things were. I was using that as an analogy. Because he already fell. He's no longer Samael. He's Lucifer and everything. Um, Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to get all biblical. It
Oh no, you're all good, man.
it's like,
You're all good.
it's actually, becoming a kind of a bad habit because I talk about it so much that yeah. But, do you,
There's oh,
yes,
go
sir.
ahead.
I was gonna ask you, you know what the Diglake is?
I Yeah, actually I do, because
Can
I got in trouble in high school because we had to do a project on World War II history, and I went up to my teacher. I was like, "Hey, I want to do it on the Glock." And he was like, "What's that?" And I started explaining. He's like, "Riley, no, you're not doing that. Pick something out the history book, please." I He's like, "I don't deny that it was a thing and that it happened." He's like, "I just don't want to hear it from everybody else that you're in here talking about Nazi occult technology and
Yeah,
yeah.
that happened to me.
Great minds
Uh,
think alike.
I got in trouble in 3rd grade because I by my teacher because I called them a liar, and I actually proved that the textbook was wrong. Um They, I don't remember exactly what, but I remember telling her and even showing the evidence and everything. Uh, it was it was the fact that, she was like, "Oh, Hitler wasn't on drugs." I'm like, "Hitler was on meth." And, the reason I knew this, I knew what meth was and everything. My dad at one point was the biggest meth cook in my hometown. My dad bad things or whatever, but, I plus, my I watched a lot of history with my dad. My dad was kind of obsessed with, Hitler and everything, tried to figure out why he thought the way he did. I've read Mein Kampf when I was 10. I got it for my birthday to read it. But, yeah, the Glocke it's German for the bell. It was a top secret Wunderwaffen, which is wonder weapon in, German. It was of Nazi design in World War II. It would think of like a bale. So what but the way it worked is one side would spin this way and the other side would spin this way like a top, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Excuse me. It was supposedly it could time travel, but it went missing during one of the experimentations of it. But it was 12 feet high, 9 feet in width, and two sections that did that spun counterclockwise, they counter spun each other. It was at high, but it could only work when it was at high speeds. They filled it with a purple metal liquid. It was a liquid, but it was the color purple, but it looked almost like metal liquid. It was called Deuterium 525. Um, they claimed that all the surviving scientists after that had disappeared. They were, sorry, they were all executed. Um, there was uh They were the, POWs and, from the concentration camp Gross-Rosen. Well, I was in a concentration camp that they were, they all said that the ones that survived anyway, they said that they were exposed to a bright light one night and they were doused in high radiation from the craft. It is believed that it used irradiated mercury as as like the fuel source and everything. But they don't know, but which makes no sense because while the Xerium 525 was like an irradiated mercury type deal, but they say it was like the substance of like liquid molten metal. But they took it to in Poland to a concrete structure called the Hinge. It was built in 1943/45. And that's where they would tether it when they would. That's actually where it disappeared at. It disappeared around 1943/44. But it was. Hold on 1 second. It was.
Yep, you're all good.
I believe I know where it actually landed. I believe it cut through time. That's why we lost it. But I believe we found it. You want to take a guess where I believe where it crash landed?
I'm gonna guess either uh first one. I'm not gonna say I'm gonna just say Roswell to be basic, then I'm gonna say Kecksburg.
Kecksburg. It
For,
was not Roswell. It's
oh,
Kecksburg, my friend. And I'm actually surprised you know that because people don't know where the fuck that is. Um, so in
oh yeah.
December 9th, 1965. So you go back from 43 to 65. That's 21, 22 years. And a fireball was reported by 6 states and parts of Canada. Astrologers said that, oh, it was a meteorite. That it was a meteorite. Don't worry about it. It just crashed. It's a meteorite. No problem. But but that doesn't make sense because it crashed. NASA released in 2005 saying, oh, it was a Soviet satellite. And they would claim that the files were lost in 1987. 22 years after the residents say that it was that the night it crashed. But residents said it was the size of a Volkswagen and that there was hieroglyphics on it. But it was a Volkswagen Beetle, by the way. John Hayes, John Hayes, multiple times since he was 10 years old, said that he saw it being loaded on a military flatbed and it was being taken off in the middle of the night. But he said it looked like an acorn. I don't know if you can like do a screen, but if you look up Kecksburg, Pennsylvania, UFO, it will show up the statue that they have of it.
Pulling that up right now. All right. Give me 1 second to screen share that real quick for our friends on YouTube. Audio listeners, go check out the YouTube if you want to see what this is, if you're not pulling out your phone to Google it right now. So, all right.
Okay, so if you look at that and keep in mind, this is the accounts of a 10-year-old. All right, so if imagine that is what they recovered after it already the ground hard. So when something hits, it will be mashed. It will bend, buckle, and pretty much disfigure when something hits the ground really hard. Think of like a bullet, right? If you take that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Go to like the 9th picture right there if you don't mind, sir.
Yep.
That one, the
That one.
shiny one. Yes, sir. The one up
Oh,
front.
yeah.
Okay, so
This one.
imagine that if you look up the deadlock, it would put that picture beside the schematic of it. You can see how a 10-year-old would say could get those two how they're a lot alike. How you could probably tell that it was you could get an acorn from the bell shape. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He said it had funny looking symbols on it. But my question is, how do you go from in the 60s saying, oh, it's a meteorite to 40 something years later in 2005 saying, "Oh, it's a Soviet satellite that crashed," but the so all the residents say that saw it say that the lettering on it didn't look Russian. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So also the guy who the leader of this project was Hans Kimmer. Yeah, it was Hans Kilmer. I want to say. Uh, I'm having a hard time remembering the man's last name, but it's funny how it looks like a bell, and if you and Hitler and the SS were real big into like the Hindus and like the Vimanas of Hinduism. Th-
Yes.
They look just alike. Also, they done it. We did the schematics of the bell, like it said, if it was capable of flight. It is more dynamic. Like it will cut through the way. It's better flying than our best fighter jets today.
Oh, I believe it, and I'm gonna take it on a side tangent real quick because you mentioned their fascination with the Hindus. So earlier you mentioned liquid mercury and stuff like that. So one connection that I'm gonna throw at you right now is while they were excavating Angkor Wat, they and the temples around Angkor Wat in Cambodia, they found pools, and these were like traps. Though that's what mainstream archaeology says. They were traps full of liquid mercury in
Uh,
these temples that have been abandoned.
Also, another tangent. In Hindu, they had the battle of the gods. I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, over like in the place where over in India where it takes place, well, they say the battle happened. That whole place, the sand is like petrified. Well, the sand is smooth as glass. It's radiated. Um, they found so they said that there's like the Vimanas and everything. They found irradiated mercury in some of their in the Hindu temples and all. So it's kind of
Mhm.
funny how irradiated mercury or just mercury in general is at a lot of holy places and all. You know what I mean?
Oh, I know what you mean, and somebody in the comments correct me if I'm wrong, but some cultures way back actually believe mercury should be like a essence of life, like uh
The the alchemists
they would
it was the elixir of youth. It was the Chinese alchemists because while the side effect of mercury poisoning is what you feel is virility. They felt stronger, but it was only in their head. That it's like giving yourself a shot of morphine. You feel great. You can lift up a car right there, but there's side effects you don't know. And it's they took so much. They felt great, but it started like they ended up having like more mercury than blood in I I it actually got to the point and everything. I wonder, because one of Von Braun said that and the SS they didn't get there. They didn't find the technology. It was given to them from the ones that come from above. That is one of Von Braun's
Mhm.
exact quote. Um, It's funny how he's the father of rockets, and he said that, "My greatest regret is the fact that my rockets didn't they landed on the wrong planet." He wanted to go to space, and, like and
Mhm.
it's, Elon, they say, somewhere, somehow, like, his family has ties to the Nazis or whatever, allegedly. I'm not exactly sure, but it's what I've heard, but it's funny how he's building robots. He's building electric vehicles, and now he's trying to build a reusable rockets. And he wants to colonize Mars. And if you look at it, everything he's doing it is a business decision that will benefit when he go if we ever do go to Mars. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He's he's definitely got an agenda. Not and I think we only know a small part of it, but that's a thing for a different time right there. Everything else, but
Like I said, my
yeah,
mind's a
he
spider web.
Oh yeah, you're not the only one. The connections are everywhere. The, everybody's got there's puzzle pieces all over. It's just a matter of everybody getting together and connecting their pieces. A lot of people are saying that, and it's true. It's all these there's a connection to everything if you dig deep enough.
There's
It
follow the
all
money. A lot of times you follow the money, but when you get down far enough into the rabbit hole, you eventually meet God. So
yes, that I that's part of my testimony right there. Hey, more on the UFOs?
Um, there was did you know that during in 1492, Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue. Oh, in his journal, when he was coming up through the Bermuda Triangle up through the Caribbean and all, he said that it's in his journals. He saw a light emerge from the depths of the sea, hover above his ship, and zoom off into the cosmos. I I believe that personally, I think that the Bermuda Triangle, I think there's definitely something going on there. I think it probably has something to do with aliens. That's just my first thought because there's a lot of ships and planes go missing through there. There was a Confederate ship. I can't remember what it was called, but it went missing during in the triangle. They believe Flight 51. No, it was a platoon of, I wanna say Navy, fighter pilots that went missing in the Bermuda Triangle. But while that while they were going, they said one of the guys said that they looked off and all they could see was white water. Uh, and, but the sea at that point wouldn't have been looking like white. He said it looked like just vast of whiteness. And that was it kinda, seemed like the best way I could do is like he slipped through a Twilight Zone type deal. You know what I mean?
Oh
But
yeah, there's some like wormhole or something like that.
yeah, which I think everybody thinks that they couldn't make it through, like the aliens couldn't make it through to us and everything because so many billions of light years or whatever. Not if are you aware of the Einstein Rosen bridge?
Yes.
Okay, so you know how if you take it, like you could use it if you go with enough speed and enough mass, you could actually bend gravity where you could pretty much take 2 points of the space and pretty much go from it. Like they theorize a black hole could be used as a wormhole where you could go through side A to another point where you could pretty much take space like from here and here. This is like say 100, thousand light years, right? So if you connect them through the Rosen bridge, you could shrink it up to maybe a light year. Like you could go from there to there in maybe like an hour to us, but it'd be still a couple thousand years Earth time. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And I think we got those all over the planet. You brought up the Bermuda Triangle.
Which
Uh I definitely believe there is some alien stuff going on underneath the water, and I believe too, one of the things I talk about all the time just because I lived at one of the points of it, was the Lake Michigan Triangle, and there's sites of UFOs popping up and all over that, and what people little thing people don't know is the Lake Michigan Triangle has a lot more bodies than the Bermuda Triangle. I'm talking thousands and thousands and thousands more deaths, planes, boats, all that stuff disappearing than in the
I've
Bermuda Triangle.
I've never heard of the Michigan Triangle. Hold on, let me write that down because woo woo. That's got my brain tingling.
Oh, I got a few episodes on it. You should check them out. Uh, and the research is still coming. I'm still working on it, new stuff every single day. But yeah, there's definitely something about these crafts underneath the water. It's a very, very common thing across the world.
Um,
Yeah, the Bermuda Triangle, Lake Michigan Triangle, but I think it's uh, there's if you look at like Aztec culture and stuff like that with like Lake Titicaca and stuff like that, they they be where their ceremonies and stuff like that wouldn't where they met their deities. There's it's a city surrounded by water. They got their water serpents. They have all that stuff. It's just there's a connect. There's much higher connection to UFOs and water than I feel like there is with space at this point.
Well, that's the thing. We genetically, like, in our psyche, we look more up than we do down. That's why we quote
Hmm.
unquote know more about space than we do our own oceans. We know like maybe 10% of our ocean.
Yeah.
But it's funny you bring up the Aztecs. Do you know what? And you can go from every continent in the world. You know the one thing that they all have in common, like almost every culture has, but even though they don't communicate,
It's some pyramids.
it pyramids is one, but this is an animal, in lack of better words. Most
Oh,
some cultures saw them as gods, others saw them as spiritual guides.
oh, the dragons.
Yes, sir. It's if you look at the Aztec Quetzalcoatl, if you look at him
Hmm.
and the way like the feathers and everything, he looks a lot like Asian dragon with the
It.
bountiful colors and everything. And
Hmm.
you could say he like the almost doggish look in the face. Um, if you it's China says when the dragons would go from China to Japan, they would lose a talent, a toe, which had their talents. They'd lose them. Japan said when the dragons would go back west or east. Well, so here's China, here's Japan. When they would go back, when one would leave Japan to go back, they would gain they'd gain their talents back. But both of the dragons and everything, they were viewed as gods. The first emperor of China was said to be the son of a golden dragon, and it's still by law they still have like if a skyscraper in Hong Kong is a certain height, they have to cut the middle out so dragons can come down from their so they can come down from the mountaintops. Which I mean, who's to say? Maybe the dragons. I personally believe dragons still exist. But the Leviathan comes to mind, and from Norse. But no, Leviathan is the Christian. But if you look at the Norse, they had Jormungandr. Then you had the Greeks. They
Hmm.
had they had the Hydra, which is just a multi-headed dragon from the ocean. I which
Yep.
looked which, I can't remember if I believe that's the Leviathan is talked about, that has multiple heads. It's been a couple years since I read Revelations, but if you look at a lot of points in culture, they all talk about dragons, and they all more or less have the same features. The European, their dragons are technically aren't actual dragons, they're wyverns, where they have the wings and everything. While
Hmm.
most dragons everywhere else were more like serpents.
Yes.
Uh,
It,
um,
it's.
yes, sir.
Oh, I was gonna say it's just wild, but yeah, every culture around the world's got them, and you know it. Me and a buddy of mine, Raphael, we did a episode towards back when I first started this show, talking about it, making all the connections between that dragons are still around, or if they're not around right now, they were up until very recently.
I
So it's just wild.
I'll send you a video. It's quote unquote a mockumentary, but I'll send it to
Hmm.
you. I watched it when I was a kid on I want to say Discovery. Um, it's on YouTube. Actually, anybody can look it up. It's dragons, fantasy made real. Um, It, it's kind of cheesy or whatever, but it's a hypothetical. But the things that they say kind of make sense, and how things would evolve and everything makes a lot of sense. Um, the uh the the Greeks, they had a Hadrian. Hydonia. He was a dragon that guarded the apples of the golden apple of it's a Flitus. I can't pronounce it, but I feel bad because I like Greek mythology, but it's the apples that the gods eat and everything. That which translates over to Norse because their gods were not. They lived a long time, but they weren't immortal. They had to eat the apples so they could retain their immortality. Funny enough, in Norse mythology, Thor, he was meant to kill the giants when he himself is 3/4 giant. He's more giant than he is God, than he is a Aesir Vanir god. So, Odin, I want to say his father's name was I can't pronounce. I don't remember his father's name, but anyway, Odin. He was 50-50 giant and Aesir, and also Loki would be Odin's blood brother, not his adopted son, like in the MCU. And Loki is the father
Mhm.
of Slutnir, Hel, and Fenrir, and then Jormungandr. And it's right around that time that Ragnarok takes place. If you go like in our time, that's right around the time Christianity started to rise. And after Ragnarok, Balder comes back to life, and one man and one woman comes out of the husk of Yggdrasil, and their names is Ash and Elm, and they're supposed to bring back the new human race and everything. So kind
Huh.
of very Garden of Eden like. And which makes sense because in the Garden of Eden they have two trees: the tree of knowledge of good and evil, then the tree of eternal life. So, which God said do not eat of this tree. He never said you couldn't have eaten from the tree of immortality.
Yep. So from my understanding, yeah, he didn't want us to eat from the knowledge of good and evil, and the whole reason they got kicked out of Eden is so they could not eat from the
Yep,
tree of everlasting life, because then we would not, we wouldn't be able to be with them because we would forever be in sin. Forever be in
trapped in
sin.
sin.
Death. Yep, death is. I don't care what people say about death. Death is a beautiful thing. It really is, because it is. It is our escape.
It is inevitable.
It is our escape from sin. It is inevitable as our escape from sin, thanks to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, who went upon the cross and defeated death. So man,
Y'all, I learned something new about Jesus' crucifixion. Well, he was crucified on Mount Calvary. Do you know what Calvary? The reason why it was named that? It was named that before the
I
mountain, the mountain of the skull. According to legend, I don't know how true this is, but I could see it. I think it was from the apocryphals of. Anyway, when Jesus was crucified and when the spear was plunged into his side, um, the Spear of Destiny, which we can go later. I believe Hitler actually owned good part of it throughout the war, but when it died, when it plunged through his side and he removed it. The blood of Jesus seeped through the ground and everything, and they say that his blood anointed Adam's skull, and through that is when humanity was washed completely of the sin of the original sin. That we are no longer bound to that.
huh, interesting.
Yeah. Uh,
Well, bro, brother, I had my wife just texted me. I
yes,
got to
sir.
get going. I got some baby stuff I got to take care of. Before we rock out of here, why don't you let everybody know where they can find you one more time?
Yes, sir. You can catch me at on Spotify at Web of Mysteries. So that's WEBB. It has two B's in the Web of Mysteries. You can catch me on Instagram. You can DM me there. Or if that's not your thing, you can send me an email at webofmysteries@gmail.com and come check out the Cult of Conspiracy Lives every Tuesday on Patreon.
All right, everybody. Sorry that we got to cut this short. You'll be back on in the future. I had a lot of fun tonight.
I had a lot of fun.
I know
my
you
friend.
got a lot more. Oh, thank you. And I know you'll be working on more stuff, and you'll have a lot more stuff we can talk about here in the future. Oh, everybody, go check out Web of Mystery. And with that being said, guys, thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Midwest Mythos. If you or anybody you know would like to be a guest on the show, you know how to get a hold of me. The link down below in that link tree is a report and encounter form. Go straight to my email. You ain't even got to report an encounter. If you just want to get a hold of me, you can do it there, or you can message me on Instagram at Midwest Mythos. Yeah, you can find me there. Be sure to check out the YouTube channel, Midwest Mythos Podcast. Guys, I'm going to start doing some more lives. I ain't got any events coming up here for at least another month. So, my Friday or Saturday night should be able to sneak one in. Come hang out. Who knows? Maybe you in the chat and you saying some good stuff, we'll throw you up in the live. But with that being said, guys, God bless each and every one of y'all, and I'll catch y'all next week. Bye.